I say I have your forum pulled up, but actually I have a much better version of your forum pulled up right
yeah,
here.
it's so old. Yeah, it's so old. And lots changed, both just in my life and even with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just use this. This will be the easiest way of looking at things here. So,
hmm
what got you interested in coaching initially? It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it a lot over the years. I'd say like, I've been playing since season 3 of Overwatch 1, pretty early on. And I played with teams like on and off ever since then. I think like second season of Open Division. Back then, I played mostly Zen and like it was like the dive like Mercy Zen meta way back then. Yeah, and like playing with like teams at around like like a 3K level back then, and like how many years later, I'm basically around that level, maybe a little better at the game now, but yeah, like I'll give a background a bit in sports as well, right? And like like even growing up, like I used to play in a band. And it's funny, I have instruments here. I barely touch them almost these days. I don't have the same like drive for some of that stuff, like without that like community, like doing things with people. I think maybe I'm a little extroverted that way. But I think that's probably the only reason why I'm still playing this game this many years later.
Do you have friends that play?
Well, I have a couple people that I've picked that I've like held on to over the years. Some of them have moved on. Not everyone still plays the game. I have one. Friend of mine, Joey, he's actually gotten some coaching from you as well. That we've played together on a number of teams over the last few years, and I still play like casually with a few people, but I don't have like it's really hard, especially around these levels, to like keep a team together for a long period of time, right? You kind of do. So the tournament we just played in was from about like a mid diamond to like Masters 4 level. And we did pretty well in that, and like for me, like I'm 37, like I'm not, I got a lot of other things that going on in my life as well that, should be taking up time. So it's like, but it's still nice to have like a little bit of that sense of improvement, or, I mean, maybe those will change. Like, so this will be interesting. I don't know if people talk to you about their transition between them. There's all these community-based tournaments I've done over the years, GGNA, some of them have dried up over the years, right? They're not around anymore. But, now we got people playing Face It maybe a bit more, and it feels like there's like a network effect. If you get enough people playing on there at a lower level, obviously at the highest level, it makes sense. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Because something that's been a bit of a challenge I've found with like the community-based tournaments is because you kind of either are going to be like, it's a little bit more like fun, but maybe not as good for your growth to be like the best players within like a bracket.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in like, let's say hockey, I'm in Canada, like going from like A to B to C, or these kind of this kind of thing. Then when you make that jump up, now you're playing on a team probably with like some of the worst players. You're losing a lot. There's a lot of like negative emotion amongst all the players. So yeah, so that's a bit of an aside, but yeah, it's there's a lot of work that would go into jumping an entire tier with this kind of thing.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like that the competitive side of things, the tournament side of things definitely seems to be like where you enjoy the game the most. I would assume that to be the case. So why are you here? What's the goal of this session?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to probably focus in on, I guess, getting better, like at flex DPS. But the only challenge I've had with that too is like playing that on a team is also a bit of a challenge, just because of like the type of heroes that I'm not like a super like aggressive, mechanically skilled player. Versus, I'd say like, an analogy, like let's say from another type of game, like say you're playing like a card game and there's like a control deck, like you're predicting maybe what other people are doing and trying to like save some cards in that case, or abilities, let's say in Overwatch to like there's something, I don't know, I enjoy like that cognitive side of it, but that's not really like even where the game feels like it goes with flex DPS. Like I don't know if we're gonna get another like Sombra May Sim type hero. I don't know. Sure. Versus that's why another reason why I thought about going over towards support, because it feels like support gets that kind of utility. And if that would be a better use, I'm still a little bit on the fence, to be honest, about
I'm reading
about what I should be doing.
I'm reading that here currently, a little bit on the fence with that one. Yeah, I mean,
it's tough. Ideally, I'd be coming to you and be like, "This is exactly what I want," and let's just go look at a VOD and fix it and find some stuff to work on. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, true. I mean, we could talk about it a little bit. I think my best recommendation, whenever you're on the fence with something, is to give one of the two choices a temporary go and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. Like let's say if you were to commit to the flex DPS thing for a little bit, or you were to commit to the support thing for a little bit, give it for like 3 or 4 weeks, even not even like a month or two, just like 3 or 4 weeks, and just see how it feels. You know, see how much you're enjoying the game. Do you enjoy the role? Are you enjoying scrimmaging with that role? Now,
I mean, I did a whole tournament cycle basically playing almost entirely Lucio because it's hard not to play Lucio. And
right. And how did it go in terms of not the results, but did you enjoy Lucio in comparison to Flux DPS?
I enjoyed Lucio a lot more when he had 20 damage and they didn't have a 20% passive on DPS. Yeah. And you could, because it feels like you have to play so much more passive now than before. Maybe it's probably a skill issue a bit for me as well.
It's probably a skill issue, at least partly. Yeah. And these things snowball too, because it's a relatively minor damage reduction, but then you're thinking about it, and so then you feel it a lot more, right? So it's definitely there. Yeah, okay. It's definitely palpable, but it's probably not quite as bad. But yeah, I mean, either way, if it affects your fun, okay. Then what about Flux DPS? How long has that consistently historically been your main role, or is that a more recent development?
First hero I ever played in this game was Symmetra, because I tried coming from CS and I realized that being good at that didn't mean anything. So I just played.
That's quite the jump. CS to Symmetra.
Yeah, well, I think it's because I was down in basically I was down in like bronze, and I was like, I'm pretty sure if I just like see where people put their turrets, where they put their TP or like shield generator, or like and where they're spamming, that I can probably get to plat in like no time, and that was correct. Right. But then like that wasn't, and then I kind of moved from that over to Zenyatta, as it felt like a more holistic hero to get good at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then picking up some of your other Flex DPS was that a team situation, or was that just for fun choice? Like I understand that everyone has like multiple layers in their competitive journey. I know I did. So what does yours look like?
Yeah, I think in that case, like I played most of the projectile based heroes, and in that case though I end up just playing a lot of them, which maybe isn't as good from like a improvement perspective, but like I played pretty much everyone except for like the stuff that you would need to just like put a ton of time into to get good at. Like I'm not that good at like Tracer or Genji in particular, those types of heroes. I guess Venture would probably fall into that category now.
Yeah.
Those are really timing based, right? Like you want to like have really good timing with your aggression, I think, right? With those types of heroes, and that's probably not my strength. I'd say another weakness is I just don't have I have pretty good tracking. I have terrible click timing. So like hit scans that, you need to click on the head at the exact millisecond. Not a strength of mine, so I don't tend to focus on those heroes.
Yeah, well, again, that's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Like how many hours do you have in hit scan total in comparison to projectile DPS characters?
That's a good point. I think it's because it could be self-fulfilling as well, because like if your aim isn't as good.
In my experience, unless you can
get away with. Okay, yeah.
Unless you have a medical condition, the reaction time speed is anywhere from like 10 to 20 milliseconds on average from your age to the average game. It's very small. It's very small, and that's not relevant enough to really affect most shots. But it is one of those things where like people come into it. I think the biggest age factor is what you brought up earlier, which is like, I don't know how serious I am about getting to the Overwatch League.
No, man.
Got too much going on.
Yeah, exactly. I have like a lot of other personal goals and career goals, and and so something I'd like your advice on as well here was kind of like I said, you probably don't know the exact like reference I was trying to make with like I don't know about Jeff Nipper there, but basically like something that was useful for some of the stuff he had is I was putting a ton of time, let's say, into strength training, and realized that didn't fit with my life, and realized that like even on days where you can only get into the gym, let's say for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's actually pretty amazing if you went in there with an intelligent plan, you could be getting like 70, 80% of the benefit. But that wouldn't really be true for like an elite lifter, right? An elite lifter couldn't get enough out of that. And that's the thing. So like I'm not elite, but I'm also not like in bronze or something. And so there's like, there's kind of like like trying to think of like the curve drop off, right? Like as you get better at things, right, and you're higher percentile, you're gonna normally have to put exponentially more time in to see improvement. I'm not at that level. I'm sure that I could just be a lot more efficient with my time.
This is it right here, right?
Yeah.
I checked. I linked something in your messages.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I also train similar to this. Even though I have a little bit more time because I put more of a priority on it.
There's other things I'll add on. Like if I have more time, right? I can. But it's also useful from just a getting yourself in from like a habit, like let's say atomic habits. Like habit formation stuff. You tell yourself, I only need to actually. So long as I achieve this, then I've met the goal.
I think if you were trying to become a professional Overwatch player, you would still want to be a self-described minimalist, right? Because the things that you can learn from being as efficient as possible is really, really important, not just in terms of being efficient with your time, but actually effective with your time, right? Like a lot of people waste a lot of time playing a lot of ranked, but don't really play ranked with intention. So if you force yourself to train like a minimalist, you actually all of a sudden are like, man, this is how I need to be training, period. Not going to extend that time, right? It's like that intensive, like you go in with a plan. You brought that up with the gym earlier. So that's really important. And like, I want that to be our priority for the day is like, what's going to be the plan for me? So as of now, if we talk about goals, like where do you want to see yourself? Not necessarily rank wise or not necessarily hero pool wise, not necessarily team wise, but just like a little bit of all of them, right? Where do you want to be a few months from now? What do you want to know?
Yeah, I mean, I hit Masters, but that was when everyone was getting a little bit too much. Actually, like just being, I don't know, maybe even just a little bit better at the game on the heroes that I enjoy most would be nice. So, yeah, like I played some Pharah here just because she seems really strong, and I do like her, and I haven't played her enough since the rework. So my mechanics are pretty bad if we end up looking at that code. I just haven't put enough time into her as a new hero.
Of course.
It's
definitely different.
Yeah, for sure. And then I kind of jump between, and like on the closer maps, typically I'd say like the heroes that I played the most in some of the previous seasons would be, because like Sim was pretty weak for a while, and I do enjoy also Mei is like Mei and Soldier. When the maps are like close, I play Mei. Now Soldier, you can say like that's not really doesn't really fit the mold of the other heroes, but I think there's like a ranked piece to that, and also being able to deal with like the flyers and the, he's able to kind of do things that the heroes I normally play can't do.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So this would be my open-ended question for the next. Let's stick with our goal here for the next month. What characters do you want to improve at? Give me 2.
I probably have some like weird old habits with Symmetra, and I do enjoy the hero, so I'd say her.
Symmetra,
and she got some buffs, so let's work on that.
Okay.
And unless they like revert and make some like big unless they like nerf Pharah to the ground tomorrow, I'd say Pharah.
Okay.
Would be interesting, just because at least they're both projectile based things. Like I said, normally I'd be jumping over like on the more range maps, so something like Soldier or Hanzo, but yeah, I don't know, maybe Pharah could be a more interesting hero.
Do you like Pharah currently more than other DPS players besides Symmetra?
Yeah, I think it's tough on the range maps. I just don't like it's interesting, like, and maybe I have a different take than some other people, but I actually like the new modes and find that like I'm glad they're reworking the maps, but like the like big open payload maps that have probably always been preferable to like hit scans just aren't that great anyway. So like they're not necessarily my jam, but it can be hard to play some of these more like control-y, closer range heroes on those maps, right?
Yeah.
So
I think they're overhated. I actually think King of the Hill is by far the most imbalanced game mode in the game, but people aren't ready to have that conversation. But so no, I agree with that. I think Push and Flashpoint have their issues, but I do enjoy them overall, and I think a lot of map types are overhated, but okay. So Pharah and Sim, priority for you then.
Let's do it.
Okay. In terms of playtime, minimalist approach here. What are you currently doing? What would you think would be better?
Yeah, so I created like a plan for myself around when I started seeing like Cager, and I was trying to work on the VODs and stuff of about like 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, leaving my weekends more flexible for family and other things. And while the tournament was going on 2 to 3 days a week, that was mostly being filled in by like scrim block. And I can't double that and also play ranked very much. So that was probably about a 10-hour a week commitment, and I try to get a couple of VODs in there as well. But that would still be within the same time frame. Like I would try to put those in on the days. So then the days that I would play ranked for a bit less, if I had a weekend where I wasn't as busy, maybe I'd put a few hours in. I don't think that the days when I like tried to like grind longer, that it was actually very useful for the reasons kind of like you were alluding to. Maybe like I would probably try to do like a few more hours, maybe like 3 or 4. But I just don't think it works out for me. I don't think I have like the stamp. Like Overwatch is a fast-paced game, and I don't know if some kids are streaming. People can do this for like 8. I don't know how they can do it for so long. I don't feel like I have the stamina to play well for that long. But
yeah, I mean, you have, again, we talked about your responsibilities, right? Like there's a lot more responsibilities going into things. But I also think that like, maybe you're not getting quite as much sleep. You're probably playing with a little bit more intensity than they are as well, and so on. So, no, that's normal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, in terms of playtime moving forward, what would you like your schedule to look like? Any small adjustments that you think that you should be making with your schedule? And you're familiar with all these terms of throwing your way, right? You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, if we could go from like, I don't know, it'd be nice to like know that like even if like 3 days was more effective, then like 1 or 2 of those days could be focused more on other goals that I have outside of the game, because like I said, I have other interests that it's hard when it's taking up that much time. Like I still have, basically before I do this, I prioritize family and other things.
Of course.
So by the time I get to this normally like 8 to 10 block, that's all out of the way. Right. But, it'd be to need a little bit less than that, I think would probably take some of the pressure off.
Okay. So you're saying 3 days per week if possible?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, sounds good. And then what would that training time look like right now? Are you guys currently scrimmaging?
Well, so like actually, we don't really have a team now. I mean, a couple of friends have talked about like, hey, do we want to look? I think basically we're taking a break. Tranquility that I was playing in is basically dead, and some of those people went over to BPL. But that was more of a draft tournament, and I didn't get picked up. But anyways, we're kind of waiting potentially on another new like community tournament to open up. But I was talking with like my close friend Joey there. I was mentioned about we could form something through Face It, but there's not a lot of. I'm not quite sure yet about at like more like this like diamond low masters level if there's like enough saturation to make that a good experience, or if you're just getting, or if it's gonna be like back in like my early open division days where you're just getting stomped by like GMs.
Right, so, exactly. Okay, so let's set that as like a maybe ballpark. Maybe you end up with 2 hours of scrims a week, maybe 4. In the meantime, whatever time that you're not spending in scrims is spent in ranked. Okay, so then how does the average ranked session look? 3 days per week, how does it look?
Yep. I don't use voice chat or text chat because I find it negatively affects my mental, and I'd rather focus on speaking with an actual team.
Right.
So I don't use that at all. I typically do, like 1v1 for warm up. If there was like a VOD that was flagged from previously, maybe I look at that.
Okay.
And then play for as long as I can, like up to maybe 2 hours, where I can like keep my mental. Okay. Like sometimes it's just like a focus thing as well. I can tell when it's not going well, and maybe I wouldn't go quite as long. But
sure. Do you go in with goals, or is it maybe not as much recently? That's why we're here, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's part of the. There's a bit of ambivalence, right? Which is not the best way to go into a session like this, I know, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think part of that comes too. It's like the end of like a tournament cycle. Like you see pros like quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah. So and especially with the role swap, I think there's just a bit of like, hey, where do we go from here? Kind of. Kind of perspective. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. So then we have Pharah Sim at least being temporarily like what we're going to be working on. You have your 3 days a week. We have around 1 to 2 hours of ranked per those days. We're going to try and develop some goals going in. You warm up with 1v1s. Do you take breaks between games?
Yeah, I will if it's like, I don't know, if you had like an easy win, then no. But I just find I'm very sensitive to not being tilted, because I just like the game requires a lot, man. Like to actually pay attention to. So if you're like carrying like any emotional baggage, I think it's really hard. Like,
I agree.
So I'll take a break if if there was like, a tough loss or whatever. But besides that, I'll keep playing.
Okay, great. What I would recommend is something that I incorporate even when I'm streaming is get up and move around between every single game.
Yeah,
just while you're in queue. Highly, highly recommend it. I've been doing it for a while and I love it. Really, really recommend. Okay, let's. I don't really have any other questions. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah, just on that, like 3 days a week. Like,
sure.
Do you think that that's more like a maintenance approach, or do you think that like they're with such like a light, like base? Like I said, maybe I put in more time, but like if I were to be spending that little time. You don't know my mechanics or like how bad my play is, to be honest, but it's hard to say like if that's actually going to be more like, you're like if you were just going to the gym just to kind of maintain what you've already built, or if there's actually the potential for like some gains, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. So let's put it this way. Where are you at right now in terms of training, in terms of like hourly?
Yeah. So, I was probably putting in like 10 to 12 hours a week. So you might be cutting that in half, right? Like at a minimum, right? So...
Okay.
Like a 50% reduction is a fair amount, right? Or
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's this pretty significant reduction, but we're hoping to increase the efficacy of that time, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. My prediction: maintenance, but I could be wrong, in both directions. So let's see. Worst case scenario, a maintenance with significantly less playtime committed feels pretty nice, right? Feels pretty nice. Evaluate how you're liking Pharah, evaluate how you're liking Sim, make your decision from there. And at that point, you already have a blueprint for how you should be expanding your playtime. So, because if you want to expand it, all you do is you keep the exact same play session, but now make it 4 times a week. That's it.
Yeah, like you said, even for a pro, like if we could like build in a bit more efficiency, because I think it doesn't feel great if you're like putting a ton of time into something and not seeing results.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I think just keep that as like a baseline, and like let's see how those 2-hour sessions, taking the breaks, warming up, Pharah Sim specifically. And I know I want to talk on that briefly. I would highly recommend you to efficientize. Okay, there has to be a term there, a verb in there. Clean up the efficiency of your hero pool, if possible, please. I think really like, let's put it this way. It's okay if you're playing characters because you enjoy them. I don't want you swapping to a character because you feel like it's necessary. It's probably not.
Yeah. The only like one that I can see like maybe I'd feel like I throw in there sometimes is like Sim's not great sometimes for stall, so I might go like Mei in that situation.
Yeah, that's obviously like a one fight situation, right? But like I'm looking at this code here: Pharah attack, Sim defense, Pharah tracer attack, soldier defense. Well, exactly. let's address why did you feel like those were necessary? Let's actually pull up the code really quick. Here. So we can talk through. We'll look at the actual gameplay in a second, but let's actually.
Attack goes pretty well. I play Pharah, I think, basically the whole time. I probably could have just run Pharah on defense, but like I had some thoughts about Sim here. With the 2 high grounds and the TP.
Yeah. Sim like, again, like those are the boxes we want to check, Pharah and Sim. But what I want to see is this right here.
So I end up on Tracer, I think, in an overtime situation. So I wouldn't think too much. Like, yeah. Okay. It worked. I don't like. I think I go for a pulse that's pretty crap. But like,
okay. So
I knew they were going to come back out on. I think they had come back out against me on Pharah. Like I ran Pharah and they ran Pharah back into me. And with the time bank they had at the very end, I think I felt like the soldier would be decent here just to stop them.
It could. So if you think that they're going to run like Winston, Pharah, whatever, going to have a hard time on Sim, I understand here, but that's just when you go Pharah.
Yeah, okay.
That's just when you go like, because Pharah Sim is not like the most flexible hero pool of all time, but it does give you some options. Now, I will say if you do occasionally have a pocket soldier swap that you throw out occasionally, that's fine. But if I were to pull up your career profile right now this season on DPS, what would it look like?
I was thinking, like, I'm just starting to play more DPS, right? Because I was really focused in on the support last season. But you're going to see like a fairly even spread probably between like Soldier, Mei, Symmetra.
Sure.
Maybe a drop off in like Sombra or Hanzo. I used to play a ton of Hanzo. But
sure. So I would like to see like more of those hours put into Pharah Sim if possible. Give that a few weeks. If you stop having fun with Pharah or Sim and want to expand that, that's fine. Drop one of them. Pick up the character you want to replace it with. Try to stick with that as much as you possibly can. It's not going to kill you if you play one defense round and it's like 2 minutes a soldier, but it will kill you if that happens 2 or 3 times, 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, I think I overemphasize like the value on DPS of swapping, because like you don't feel like that almost ever when I'm like playing like Lucio. It feels like you can just basically always play Lucio.
Pretty much. Okay, so Pharah time?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's take a look here. Any questions with Pharah before we actually get into it?
I need to pay way more attention to this like jump jet cooldown and not wasting it. I know that because like it's so long.
It is, yeah.
And I think I struggle sometimes. I'm not using the concussive blast for my own movement very much because you have this other new like dash.
Yeah.
But sometimes it might be better to save the dash because it's a more flexible and use the conch blast for your own movement. So I don't think I don't think I ever really do that, but I wasn't really sure how I should be utilizing those like interchangeably.
So basically, one of the things that I put a lot of priority on with mobile characters, Doomfist, Genji, Tracer, whatever, is having your get out of jail free cards as being insurance. So it allows you to take these more aggressive angles that other characters cannot hold. And then if they ignore you, you're allowed to use your cooldowns aggressively. If they focus you, you use your cooldowns defensively. Let me give you an example here. So you have Flight, you have Conk, you have Dash, you have Mercy Pocket. You need to be here.
Yeah. I think I like this angle normally too. I don't.
Now, if they were all the way over here, obviously this would be too like problematic hit scan wise, right? Maybe you take this angle instead. But basically, the idea is that like you can hold this angle because you have all those cooldowns. So poke, 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 poke. If they ignore you, you then go in and you combo, you dash in, you use your conk and whatever. If they focus you down, well, that's really easy. You have cover and cooldowns to play around. So with Pharah, it's generally, I like to think of it as like a very, very soft, basic, simple rule is have a cooldown in the pocket. Have a cooldown in the pocket. That's pretty much it. And then you're looking to essentially play some sort of vertical cover, play some sort of an angle, and go from there. Like this right here. Highly recommend if you're going to build verticality on this angle, how would you do it? No jump jet, right? So how would you do it?
I mean, just like you, I guess utilize that car and then utilize the other ground, and you could get your jets back. Sorry, a bit over time, right?
Yeah. Check this out. This is a tech that but you need to be abusing like crazy.
There's also like that van behind us, right? Or, oh, sorry. You mean just a general tech? Okay.
Yeah. Just a general tech.
Oh, you're just like rocket jumping? Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't really do that. And I guess there was a like you don't take as much damage these days, right?
You don't. No, look at my HP. It's only 20 damage.
It used to be tons more.
Yeah,
right.
And you have a mercy pocket as well. So like look at the verticality. I'm not using any fuel at all. Look at that.
What?
That's no fuel. So you don't even need your jump jet. You go here. I actually prefer you not to use your jump jet. And then you can do this, and then I'm low on fuel, jump jet, and then there you go. I mean, like even though it's not quite the same hover rate, like it's pretty intense. And then you drop down, you let your fuel come back, and you see I'm regenerating fuel. Look at that. So like watch this. Did I jump jet here? Watch me regenerate fuel. See that? Even though I'm flying up from the rocket jump itself actually doesn't even consume any fuel. In fact, you can regenerate fuel while you're rocket jumping.
That doubles your flight time.
It really does. It's phenomenal, and it's really, really good too when you have any sort of healing whatsoever, because that's the only downside. I honestly feel like I wish they'd get rid of it, frankly, but in the meantime, like this is obviously maybe not the most optimal angle here, but if you're going to peak this with some sort of
I expected people to be on the right side. Like I don't remember the last time I've seen everyone display here.
Sure. So rocket jump here then, right?
Yeah.
Give it a peek. Either way, you need that information here. Instead of being empty on fuel here.
Yeah.
Nice combo. Because now you're empty on fuel, and you should have died there, right? That's where you would have needed your jump jet, right? I mean, obviously their comp is just disastrous into Pharah. Like, feel bad for them. Good. I mean, frankly, here,
you
just need to keep doing damage. That's it. You're reloading at 2. You're reloading at 2. You're reloading at 3.
Right. Yeah.
You're reloading at 2 again.
Yeah, I'm not. I have this. Yeah, and then she just deletes me actually.
Yeah. I mean, even here, right? Like, that would be where, you know, it's really important to have your conk there, right? But I think, like, in general here, this is just... Okay, so here's what I want you to do. You say you warm up using a 1v1.
Yeah.
You need to get your reps with Pharah on Deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get your reps on Pharah on Deathmatch. Either try...
I miss Tryhard FFA.
I do too.
It was so good.
It was really good.
It's hard to get, like, the equivalent of that. Everyone just plays, like...
It is, but even if it's just unranked deathmatch, like, I don't care if it's playing versus tanks, good. You're going to get good versus 1v1 tanks. I don't know what the queue times are like, but I would give it a shot next time you play and see if it's like, if it's under like a 5 or 6 minute queue, I would do it.
Yeah, so I see a bit actually focus on the heroes you're playing instead
right,
of
exactly. And a lot of this just feels kind of like there's a little bit of random use of our cooldowns here. So, like, you need to close the distance on this Baptiste as quickly as you possibly can. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm waiting for... I'm not utilizing the conk there.
Right.
I could just use that
the
off
conk,
of here.
close the distance, and then you get on top of them. I'd rather have that than the damage at that point, right? In addition to that, the jump jet here, maybe not the best timing there. You don't necessarily need it. You can rocket jump off of the high ground there. You can use your fuel. The other thing with jump jet as well is it's not just for verticality. It's a juke, is what it is. So if you were to use a conk, or bam, dash onto this BAP, now you jump jet.
Like to get right above their heads,
right?
So that it's,
yeah, because their crosshairs like, oh, this guy's here, and then oh, crud, like that. It's impossible to just die, right? So it's an important cooldown to have. You know, good target priority here. I mean, good job closing the distance is absolutely how to play it.
Yeah.
So you need to be a little bit more intentional with what you're doing. I think that's the key thing. I want you to be intentional. So what you could do is you can practice an entire game just focusing on what angle should I take. You could practice an entire game going, I'm going to hold this corner really disciplined and dash in or dash out as necessary. You can spend an entire game going, should I use my conk to go in? Should I use my conk to go out? Or should I use it for a damage combo?
Yeah,
when should I use them? Or your rocket jump, right? Like, there's the problem with Pharah, and this is almost exclusively where her skill curve comes through, is it's through what cooldown do I use now? Like, what cooldown do I use now? So let's try and practice.
She had so much more flexibility before. It felt like, I'm thinking of old Pharah. You know, she tended to just like find some vertical piece of cover.
Yep, and just spam
to play around.
And that would be it, right? So, right now, where should you go? What should you do with your cooldowns? Look at the situation for just a brief moment and tell me what you think positioning wise.
I mean, it'd be nice to be further up. I don't know if I should be waiting a bit longer, though. I mean, D.Va's kind of covering me anyway, but...
Okay, so where would you go? Be specific.
If I could get further in, maybe on the right. I don't want to get too... I don't know if I want to go too far yet, though. Like, I like the idea of eventually being over where you're looking now, past, like, statue, maybe, but...
Okay, eventually. Okay,
yeah, so I don't know if I want to go in that far yet.
Okay, so right now, then, what do you want to do in terms of your cooldowns?
Yeah, like, I don't mind the idea of just like booping them in, but that's all I've been doing. That's mostly what I've been doing with the abilities.
So then where would you place it and who would you shoot it at? Be specific.
Oh, it's like basically where you're looking right now, so it's hard to see who that is. Like
Moira, but there's a clump here, right? Yeah. So I would probably rocket conk and then rocket, right? So that's definitely gonna force fade.
Yeah.
So rocket, but you drop. You see that?
Yeah, I don't need to.
Good. Don't need to. I think it's because you want to make it an easier rocket. Break that habit. Because you're also an easier shot now. Don't do that.
Yeah, so, I think I was playing a few games against like widows and stuff like that, and I was just going like before this, and I was going for a lot of just like assassination. Sure. Basically, just like get right on top of them and you can't miss kind of thing. But I'm overdoing that.
Right. Well, the thing is you're doing that's a completely different tech. You're not doing that. You're closing the distance on a Moira. And not only that, you're making it easier for the Baptiste to shoot you. This is because this is why we like you here, because of the thing on your left, right? You have cover. If you're going to go on the Baptiste, sure, conk the floor, get on his face. But you're not doing that. Instead, if you look at it from the Bap's perspective, look at your hitbox.
Yeah, if I get better, these guys get better. They're gonna just start deleting
Right, and
me.
it will happen. It already has happened, right? With the venture, like they will punish you for doing this. So just use cover. And yeah.
Yeah. No, they died. It wasn't great, but
that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's keep going here. Okay.
I know I don't want to like fight him in there. I'm just trying to prevent him from pushing above us.
It's all right. So I want to talk about this. This is what I like to call random conk syndrome, RCS.
Okay,
What's the purpose of this concussive blast?
This one? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just booping people, but it's not. Yeah, especially like you said, I need one of the two. So now I can't use it for my movement because
which is fine because you still have your dash. But if you think about it, if you were to conk anybody here, who would you conk? When would you conk? And where would you conk?
Well, I mean, that Reaper I'm trying to keep away from my team because I do know that he has ult, right? And that's why I was trying to like poke him. I don't want him just to like drop on everybody as they're trying to finish out the map here. But I guess something more deliberate like that is what comes to mind. But
here's a hot take. You ready for this one? Your conk in terms of the timing and target was fine. It's fine to conk Junker Queen here.
Yeah.
But where would you concussive blast Junker Queen?
I don't really want her to push her in yet.
Why not?
If she, because she has help. It's just, I guess Moira doesn't really want to get that close.
Where does she want to play? If I'm coaching this Junker Queen, what am I screaming at this Junker Queen to do right now?
She can keep walking. Like she wants to get closer. Do they have their whole team yet? Yeah, they do. Sorry, yeah, they have their team.
But
she wants to close the distance, and I'm slowing her down.
Sure, but in addition, you're also giving her more cover. Right?
Yeah, she wants to walk from this corner, maybe to the
she wants to move from here,
vehicle, and then into that room, maybe, and try and get. Yeah.
If anything, if you're gonna concussive blast the Junker Queen, I understand that, like, I don't want to get closer, but like, let's be honest here, like, what is there to get close to right now? Okay, we're not. If anything, boop her further in. You're gonna force shout if you do that. In fact, you're 100% force shout if you do that, or do that with the soldier instead. That would also be great because the soldier definitely doesn't want to be out in the open versus you, right? Like, it's just kind of It's just more deliberate, is what it is. See, that was deliberate. What was the purpose of that concussive blast?
I don't want him walking on me here, so
knock him
off the high ground, yeah.
And it did the job. There we go. Cover usage, right? Just cover usage. I want you to be super deliberate with that. Even I think it's the
I had both abilities. I think it's overestimated. I wasn't paying enough attention to my team's position as I was like focus on all those other characters. And,
100%.
Yeah, there was nobody else there to shoot at but me.
That's it. All right, this concussive blast is gonna be really important. So you're gonna dash right. Why?
I was trying to think about getting over here to this like statue for cover, but I'm still kind of like frontlining.
Okay, so then change how you approach this, because I actually think the intention of what you're trying to do here is fine, but you need to do it better. How would you do it?
I get more movement off of the conch. Do you see people ever like you mentioned like the vertical rocket jump? Do you ever like combine that with like a wall to like I don't know if it actually knocks you sideways? Like
you can. Yeah, you can. There's a whole cornucopia of Pharah techs you can use here. But keeping it just with the simpler one, you conk off this here, and then dash. And that's going to get you all the way to here. Then you can jump jet up here, and you're cooking.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? Be deliberate. So now we've solved your cooldowns. Okay, let's say you don't want to take that angle. You just want to spam here. What do you do with your conk now? So first off, you jump jet, right? You bam, or jump jet or rocket jump. Probably rocket jump. Bam, to get up to here. You peek. Now what?
I don't know if I need to knock any of them around like I've been kind of wasting it with. Like now that like the queen's already where she wants to be pretty much, does it make sense to wait for her to go for her axe or to try and like go on my players with her shout and then...
But let's be honest, who are you going to be spamming right here? Not queen.
No, mostly the hit scans that are shooting me.
Okay, so then where do you think those hit scans... What is a placement of a conch going to do here. Let's say it's right in front of them.
It disrupts them for a second.
It disrupts them for a second. What about it conk behind them, right here on this bus?
Oh yeah, you're saying because they're not really utilizing cover, but if I could knock them more out into the open, they wouldn't want to be like
sure
10 meters.
What about smack dab right in between them?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you're going to kick the ant's nest at that point, and that's kind of what we want here. So,
okay.
So it's not just about, like, I don't want to discourage you from using your conk for damage or disrupting people. In fact, I think this fight you should have. What I want you to do is, again, it's like just be deliberate with what you're using it for. Be deliberate.
Yeah, you're giving me lots of different, like, ways that I should be like thinking about utilizing it. So even if I like this, I did a VOD review and then played a match, like just focusing on it because it's I think the thing that's being 100%. Underutilized the most. Like there's a lot to 100%. Gain there.
100%. And then even here, like I know you're being challenged, but once this queen's out, you need to stay on this angle. You cannot go back to help here because you going back is pretty much what's going to kill you. Because what is your responsibility now? Where should you be? Where should you stay?
Behind the soldier, like would have been
right.
Would have been nice.
You kind of just need to stay on this angle here. Frankly, you just need to stay on the cover, pressure the soldier, pressure the moira. You have your CDs back again now. You can actually start to contest people. Instead, you're like, oh, let's go back.
No, yeah. I
mean, you were so.
I should have been dead.
You should have been dead.
Slow to react.
Right? You should
he was a slow to react.
And not just that you should have been dead. He should have been dead. You should have killed him, right? You missed that opportunity there. By chasing a Reaper all the way back, and now this fight's completely lost. Like this fight, actually, I think was winnable there. I think Pharah and Moira have a real chance of dying, especially with you with Barrage. So, okay, good. I just want to see you more prepared for that follow up, right? So like
like the shots that are like already thinking about where they're gonna go.
Exactly.
I wasn't pre-aiming like the direction they're likely to go in.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that'll do the job.
I mean, I'm not. She's like, especially in this situation with what she's just doing so much damage. Not even playing the hero very well.
The reason the thing is you're getting Mercy Pocket, right? So it's like helping cover a lot of your weaknesses, and you're just relying off of the character's natural strengths. But as I'm sure you've realized that if this character, if you imagine all these fights without Mercy Pocket, right? Where do you need to be? Where do you need to be?
High ground. I think I go high ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get him. Good.
Probably knock him when I shouldn't here. Hopefully not.
Good.
Yeah.
Got close to him. That's all that matters. You could even use your conk for damage there. Just double tap it with the Moira. Because remember, you put her in a predictable arc, right? Good conk there. Knocked her away from where she wanted to shoot. Okay, good stuff. All right, what happens here?
I don't remember if we get slowed down much. This was like a couple... I don't remember if this was a couple days ago. I played a few more matches after this, but like I just kept rolling everybody. Like they were all stomps. So
where do you need to
be? It was hard to remember what happened here.
Small adjustment.
There's like a vertical cover thing on the left. Oh, you mean like if I'm in this general area?
Yeah, just in this general area.
I could just be higher, right?
Right. Just turn this corner with either jump jet or rocket jump and you're cooking. Right? You're cooking. It's totally fine. Like I think peeking this here is fine, but why on earth did you peek here when you could be peeking here? You could see them through walls even, right? So you don't even they can't even they literally cannot see you. Right?
Yeah.
Just small adjustments like that. Small adjustments like that. Always play dirty. Always play dirty because it's fighting to their advantage to peek that in that position, right? Okay. How do you use conk here?
Knocking him further out would be the play.
That's it.
Yeah, I had an opportunity there. I think I did run out of fuel, but with some of your other techniques there, and even with the rocket jump, I could still.
You can rocket jump, bam, with no fuel. Conk come out and he's dead. Right? Exactly. This character's hard because it's like a lot of the things that we're talking about requires like split-second decision making. But you can practice them individually, right? You can practice them in isolation. You have the right idea with the conk here. You're definitely thinking about it. It's just not being executed very well. This is again where like I know it sounds silly, but just peeking this Cassidy like this here off of a rocket jump, it just 20% less damage, 20% more damage from you. It's easier to hit the ground, which helps splash. It's harder for him to aim up. It's better in every single way. I'm
Makes sense.
Okay. And by the way, this is another one of the situations where it's like, I know you're low, but you actually just have to commit. You can't back out.
Yeah.
You're cooked.
I'm going to die anyway. I'm not going to kill out of all the targets I could be going on, this isn't the right one.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch a little more here. Good use of your conch there. Again, I'm just pleased to see you have rocket jump here, right? Get back to that high ground easily.
No, not when I do that.
Yeah.
Well, with the rocket jump, yeah, but I'm not going to utilize that technique.
Right.
Well, I do. Yeah, okay. Well, I have enough fuel. I'd probably want like to go for a barrage, but like the timing, I'm gonna end up with like 5 people looking at me. Yeah, this is terrible.
It's a little too far, and it's not sneaky enough, right? So how would you set up this barrage differently?
I think like when I envisioned it, they were closer, but like the game's fast, you know. And
and so they're already off, and now you're kind of directly approaching them.
Or I'm looking at these threads of but if I had gone to the side, maybe I just like burn the Zarya with her bubble.
Yeah,
sure. I'm focused on like all these hit scans that want to kill me.
Okay, so tell me how you approach this fight here. How do you approach this fight from this position here? What do you do?
If I I could just be shooting at them. I don't have to go for the barrage right away because it's not that sneaky, like you said.
Right. So peek a couple shots here. Then what? What are they gonna do?
They probably back up a little bit, and then maybe I conk to the left, like close to where it says to the. Well, I just like. I get over where it says musician station, so they can't shoot me, and then I try and barrage the Zarya.
So you could either conk or dash this direction. I don't even think you'll need to barrage Zarya. I think she's going to back off too. So you've just allowed your team to walk through the choke for free by just using a rocket or two, and then now you're here. Now what?
If they back enough and my team puts enough pressure, I do kind of like the angle I ended up on last fight, like over here.
Try again. Let's try it again. You know, even if they back all the way off, you can conk across here and play games here. You could even dash in here, walk up the stairs, and do some really cheeky stuff here. It's a little bit more risky, but there's options. You got it. So what I want you to practice, let's take some notes here, Pharah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my note, and then I want you to add a couple of details for you too. I want you to think about approach angle when positioning. So like, what angle do I need to be on? How do I need to be approaching this? From what position do I want to do that? And then once you can answer that question, then you can start talking about using your cooldowns, right? I think that's the priority. Now, if you were to throw in a couple other details here into our notes, what other things do you need to be practicing?
Being able to use the conch to get myself like to a forward position, like to move from one piece of like cover to the next, while also like maintaining some verticality. Like I'm not maintaining the verticality during those transitions.
Check your notes in Discord. How does that second point look to you?
Let me see. Yeah, exactly. I'd be intentional with it. Absolutely.
Sure. Okay, what else?
I've like, well, maybe this is more of a question because I'm thinking about the cooldowns, right? I haven't seen too many examples here of where, you know, like, let's say you're like on Sojourn or something, or Echo, and like you're playing an aggressive angle and you're utilizing that other ability as like, you know, like to slide out.
Yes.
Like you're taking the forward space and you're sliding out.
That's it, exactly.
I don't know if we discussed any times here where I would be like doing that, where I'm like, because it kind of felt like I'm still like utilizing the vertical cover, or like just, and I don't really need to be like pushing, and then utilizing that as an escape. But is that something I should be leveraging in some of these positions?
Remember this kind of a thing here, right? You might, if you get pushed, you need that as insurance. If you talked about this right here, we wanted to ultimately choose this angle. If you get pushed here, you need a cooldown to get out, right? You know, even something like this here was maybe not the most aggressive angle, but if they did hard push, you'd like to have the cooldown to get out. Yes. So you're 100% right. For me, I don't think we're there yet. I think you're still like developing your like walking. You're still, before we talk about running. And I think for you, it's going to be thinking about like what angles do I want to be holding with this character first, and how do I use my cooldowns from those positions. Just get more familiar with that thought process, and we'll see where we can go from there. Okay. In terms of other tech, I want to add jump, rocket jump.
Absolutely, yeah, the rocket jump.
Get in the habit.
Because the fuel is way sparser than it used to be. So
it is. It's faster. It's more efficient, and it's going to help you break the habit of peaking at like eye level constantly. You're forced to use a little bit more verticality a little bit more often, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed as well when I said conk, I didn't say anything specific with conk. Honestly, I just think about it more. Because I think
you gave lots of examples, and I'll review this after.
Okay, perfect. And I think all of these three things deserve being approached in isolation. Practice all of these skills individually, and then you'll kind of start to develop a more rounded picture of what you should be doing with Pharah. Because I feel like the vast majority of your mistakes right now were what I would bluntly describe as you just don't play Pharah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot lower level.
Right. You're very clunky with everything. Movement, positioning, mechanics. You just don't know. And so I think a lot of this will be solved with more playtime, but I think we can accelerate that by specifically practicing one of these things at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's other heroes that like I have hundreds of hours on that I could have showed. I mean, like Sim here, I've had more success with her, I feel like, on these payload maps, actually on attack than defense, but it doesn't really align so much with the Pharah plays, so we'll see how this goes. Probably, especially with like the beam thing here, like, so I end up trading because of that. I'd say like, yeah, I do sometimes like, with Sim, you can end up feeling like you're reaching a bit, right?
Yes.
And you can like chase for a kill that you don't need to, and that's probably the mistake that's highlighted here that I could see myself probably making in other situations.
Honestly, it's just silly because once you're here, you need to get out. That second orb there, like that additional orb, you see
that's greedy.
You should go away. You should go away. And I wouldn't even shoot. I would just keep running.
Yeah.
Because you dropped to literally 1 HP.
Yeah, I should have died.
You should have died before, and then obviously you're still lacking HP. You're down to 1. And then you're like, oh, I'm back to full, but you're still kind of walking into their choke. Like the problem is with this here is you did catch somebody, but now this is actually better for them because they're the ones that are supposed to walk out of choke. And you guys are walking into the choke. So this bashing grenade is just brutal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I didn't take the time to assess the situation first.
Yes, of course.
I mean, she's changed so many times. Play styles have changed. I have a decent feel for the hero, but yeah, sometimes like I don't think that these like defense payloads are where I would normally probably actually feel like she's strong with my playstyle at least.
Sure.
If anything, Pharah would probably be easier because I don't have to it's more obvious. You're not trying to like take space in all the complex ways we were describing.
Right, exactly. I mean, Symmetra is, I think, even with the HP change, even with the beam change, is still very much like needs to be playing positioning intelligently.
Yeah. With the team I was playing with even though I was playing Lucio, we in a couple of maps on these payload, especially on the like not hybrids but the pure payload maps, we were doing some of the like Saudi, like we would actually swap. Our hit scan would play Alari and I'd play Sim and destroy people because you can do a lot with the TP to get around the map.
Right. I like what we're doing here. I like where you're kind of holding the angle, and then when they dive you just TP away. I think that's good.
Yeah.
One little detail I'm noticing with your alternate fire, you're rushing it like crazy. Like you're not aiming it particularly thoughtfully. So if we go back just a few seconds here, so I think a couple of these shots here feel very rushed.
Yeah, I know I did a couple, really, really fast ones there. Those aren't very useful.
So this is fine. This is fine.
A little slow on that.
This one's a little bit better, a little bit more intentional. Yeah, that was better. But like you saw for a moment there, a couple of just really just rushed shots. Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to fall into the concussive blast category. You know that these turrets are just not well thought out.
No, that one up there is too high, and then the other one, like, it's gonna show monkey for a second when he if he like comes forward, but no, they're not very.
And there's so many things you can do with these, right? So think about this for just like 5-10 seconds, and I want a full list of like where you should be putting these.
I mean, I had time, like where I am. It doesn't apply, but like it's the fact that they give walls now is very useful for flankers, which
Yep.
you know, they're not really.
But you never
They're not
know.
really running, but yeah, they're running
Cassidy
the two
will
hit
angle,
scans.
Moira might
but-
flank. You never know. So where?
Yeah,
where would
like
you put them?
basically, like on this map, you're normally going to get screwed from like lower mega maybe or the far right.
Sure.
Like it's so they don't have to
drop
cover
turret
both,
here.
but it doesn't hurt to put them on
Yeah.
those two angles.
Yeah.
Basically, they give scouting when your team isn't doing a good job of
Exactly.
scouting. So
Exactly.
even just like one turret in where the Cassidy is, at least then the team already knows that he's walking
Right.
there.
One
or where he's-
here on the choke, one here on any one of these angles, either far coast or underneath, and you're cooking. Yep. I mean, even if you were going to throw a turret here, I would probably put it on the bus, right? Or somewhere like this, or like right here where it's not too high. So like, you know, something along those lines. Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Good discipline with the TP. Felt like they got it overextended a little bit. Yeah, apparently I'm just a hater. That turret actually worked out okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I might pre-set up my TP, frankly. You know they're grouping up. You know Winston's about to take an engagement. Worst case scenario, you just change your angle if you'd like to. I think it's worth doing.
It can be up, yeah, most of the time in these situations, rather than wait. So he's kind of, I wasn't thinking about ultimates at all here.
But there's a there's a theory behind what you did and why it's wrong and why you died. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back a very important moment in our Pharah VOD and see if you can spot it. I think it was, yes, it was this fight here. Remember this fight?
Yeah, with the soldier, and I could have actually turned it if I got behind them instead of trying to do this silly cross. I could have maybe even gotten 2 kills.
You went backwards and you died.
Yeah.
Okay? So watch this. You wall off Winston's heals with your wall, which is like, you know, I mean, I respect it. It may be hard for you to push backline, but then you go backwards. Now, the reason why this is bad is because you lose immense pressure on this choke. Your job is to do what you've just been doing. It's to ruin these people, right? You're not very good chasing people down. You're slow.
No, even just, they're not going to want to get hit with even a single orb.
Right.
I can just
So look at what happens. Now,
free.
your Ryan is holding a little bit of space, which is helpful. But as you walk forward, you die to this, but you also allowed this guy to take this space here, too. You see this? And you allowed these guys to live in this choke here. You're giving up space. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this BAP. This is insane. This guy should be dead. This guy should be dead. So what I want you to do...
He shouldn't be allowed to be there. Yeah.
Right. The principle here that I want you to consider is whatever angle that you choose, I don't want you running around the map with your chicken, like with your head cut off, trying to help other people punish or peel. Just put pressure from where you're at. If you want to change your angle or TP, skip across the map, that's fine. Just don't go backwards. Don't go backwards. It's you know, again, there's actually happened again. Do you remember when you were here on Pharah, right? And you're like, I got to go backwards. No, you don't. You stay here and you die here. You live here, you die here. Like you either deepen or you stay. Because when you went back, you died, right?
Yeah.
Hold the angle. Get value out of that angle.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's some overlap there that I hadn't really considered between the heroes. I mean, obviously they're very different, but they're kind of, you know, you're going to use your cooldowns to be able to put some pressure from an angle, and
yes, it's a first-person shooter rule, really, is what it is for all heroes.
Well,
you know?
I'm kind of committed to be in both of their cases. I'm probably committed for like 10 seconds to try and get value out of that spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Ryan tried. Okay. Good TP.
Yeah. They went deep. I was thinking, I think, do they swap? Yeah, I think they do.
Okay, good. All right, be intentional. What angle do you think you're playing here? You got a lot of options, right? They're also in Zarya now, which opens up your options even more.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mostly think about playing off of here to put pressure, but it's not actually great against their hit scans.
I mean, it's okay.
Long term, it's okay for now, but eventually I'll get pressured. But you're right. They're not on monkey. You're right. I think I'm still thinking at this point, like, I'm thinking about my mindset at the time that I'm going to get dove, but I'm not going to get dove now.
Okay, so here's the thing: is like you look at this and you're like, oh, I'm never going to outpoke these hit scans. Maybe you won't. But what advantage does Symmetra have right now that those hit scans don't? Do you see it? You're up there. They're not. Now, how did you get up there? You teleported. So
yeah, they'd like to take that space, but if I actually put turrets around, like I shouldn't let them come up here. Would be another part of it.
You could even put a turret down here just for a little bit of scouting, make sure that. But basically, the TLDR of Symmetra is that she doesn't have the greatest poke, but man, she can take like any angle she wants. Yeah. Like almost any angle that she wants. So like abuse that. So like actually you might not do a lot of damage from here, but you'll actually probably still do a lot from here, if that makes sense. Because it's very difficult for them to poke you out. Now, when we're thinking this strategically, it also can educate your turret usage, right? Mm-hmm. Is this turret going to do anything?
That first one, no. The second one, if I'm thinking if someone's going to dive me, but no,
right. So this one's intentional. This one, I have no idea what the purpose of this turret is. Maybe it's to give you information on inside. Okay, sure. But then what's this one doing? This one we need here, or just even behind you on the staircase, right? Mm-hmm. That being said, I like the angle here. Would love for you to slow those orbs down just a little bit. Yeah, as soon as I see Zarya here, get cooking, right? Get cooking.
Yeah, I do sometimes try it, and like I don't know why I went for that angle, or I didn't actually go for anything.
I mean, you're still kind of using it, right? And it's right there, right? Like there you go.
Yeah.
It's good. That's how you're winning this fight. Like you and your diva are quote unquote like counter swapped here. But what you're doing is your diva's kind of gone around the Zarya. And you've kind of gone around the Zarya too, and that's why this is working.
This seems like low value. I was like, if I'm not actually gonna get dove, I've noticed people will just kill the TP anyway, and it's like a lot of HP distraction. So sometimes I'm just throwing it out because people will shoot it, and I have nothing else to do with it. But.
And I don't think it's low value at all. Like maybe in terms of raw damage, but let's not lie. You walked in this with like 25% ult charge. You've distracted Hitscan repeatedly. You forced the BAP out. You've hit 2 in a row. You forced Soldier's attention. You forced Zarya's attention. You forced Moira's attention. You forced BAP's attention. You've TP'd. They've turned around and shot the TP. Or rather, the Pharah spanned the TP. BAP is now low. Cassie's now looking at you.
I should have. I thought they were burning it. I thought about going in, I think, right? And I could actually kill the BAP, but...
Yeah. You should have gone in briefly. I would have gone in for like a quick, right click and just immediately left. And frankly, I know this is like an accident because you ran from Pharah, but mate, I'm not scared of Pharah here. Not with new Symmetra, Like she's got like you could back up to here. If she pushes you, she's dead, right? Alt fires, turret, she's done. If she doesn't push you, you know what you do? You drop behind and you wrap and you flank the back line again. Again, don't go back. Don't go back. Because like you go back, like again, this is like definitely a bit more unlucky than the previous ones. But like you're not going to win this fight backing up.
No, I usually like to make some like flanky aggressive plays, but I don't really make any on this whole round.
It feels like maybe it's the Winston, chasing the Winston previously, or probably the Pharah there, right? That's distracting you. But like even this here, like I don't think this is be where I would roll out. I think I'd assume that we're losing and just try to be a nuisance up top. Maybe it's you thinking about the sim wall, but you can use sim wall to win the 1v1s up top, right? And now
angle's not great.
The angle's not great, and we can't push off of this, right? We can't take any space off of this whatsoever. And they still have top left. Good turrets there. Nice turrets. Where else could you go? Because like, let's say you don't want to approach that Pharah directly. Okay, give me another solution here.
I never play off the Mega on the right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I never play over here.
Exactly what I was thinking. Sneak up here with an alt fire. See what you can get. See if there's anybody there, right? Just maybe just for scouting, right? See what's okay. There's nobody there. Okay, there is somebody there. I'll spam some orbs. Maybe throw a turret here. See what happens. There's nobody here. Sit up here with a turret at your feet and a turret in the doorframe, and just spam over their heads. The Pharah's going to chase you. You're going to walk and you're going to have mini. You have a lot more. I mean, that HP buff is massive, right? Like you could. It just allows you to live so much more. But like your team's not gonna do anything off of that, and now you're just gonna get grabbed and you're gonna die. Wait, maybe my faith is lacking here. Okay.
I should have saved that.
And there it is. Never mind. My faith is not lacking. Wait, but you didn't die yet. You didn't die yet. The nano saved. But you see how little your impact was. That literally the best thing you've done the last 20 seconds was that teleporter on that Mega, like baiting them, right? I think that's the only relevant thing you've done. What would you have done differently?
Saved it for grab, because that's usually a really easy read.
Okay.
But,
so what do you do?
What positioning wise?
Yeah, because you could do that, right? You could play passive, I'm going to main bot, focus on the Zarya with my beam.
I don't need to be further back than my Ana right now, and I could actually be putting beam pressure in these scenarios. They're close to angles. It's not that hard to...
So you either get more frontline value and then TP out of Grav.
Okay. There is the Pharah though. So it is
okay.
a little scary if I'm pushing up too far,
so then flank option. How would you do this?
Oh, like almost like if you like a hard flank. No, they're too far up now. Yeah, like from high ground and
maybe. Like maybe an angle from here. Maybe you could TP up top and flank around behind this way. Like, I mean, like we're looking at this fight here, and like I just feel.
I think about those flank plays. You're right. I need to at least then I'd be having an impact. But I think about those big flank plays if I'm playing like Pharah or Cassidy or something, and I can like, go for the big ultimate play. But I haven't just gone for like a hard flank like that on.
There's no Tracer. There's no Winston. There's no Wrecking Ball here, right? So you can be a lot more flippant with how you position. And I think here, if you are going to play more towards around like beaming Zarya, TP out of Grav, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But then that's what you need to do. Here you're doing the worst of both worlds. You're neither flanking nor do you have any legitimate frontline presence.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you're just kind of spamming alt fire and really letting your TP is, like I said, literally the most useful thing that you did. Because it forced Cassidy out. It forced his, there's 2 Fan the Hammers?
Yeah, I don't know why people shoot the TP. Like
it's because they're scared they're scared that someone's gonna show up.
Yeah, but I don't think I think it's actually like such bad value for people to. Oh,
I agree, but it's always the threat, right?
Yeah.
It's also dopamine inducing. It does make clicky noises when you shoot it.
Yeah.
I guarantee if there's like a clown noise, like a clown horn noise every time they shot TP, a lot fewer people would shoot. Actually, maybe more people would shoot TP. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I've heard you talk about that with tank, right? It's just the reward versus like.
By the way,
impact.
Great turret. Thank you. Nice to see this level of effort, like occasionally being put in. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Check it out. Right? Bap's like, Farah's like, the mini health pack is now gone, and your team.
Some of these are scenarios, like I said, I've been playing more heroes. I think some of this is not scenarios where I would normally place them. Like I was playing like a ton of heroes, so I think I was starting to think about this. She got buffed, Pharah got buffed, but it's not that she's not strong here. It's just that I don't think I would have necessarily played her like the whole way through.
And I think that's where you got to push your creativity. Maybe I'll do a little bit of Symmetra on stream today. I don't know. I really enjoy Symmetra because of that creativity, and I think right now like she's going to be a little bit broken, frankly, because right now I think she has presence no matter how you want to play her. She has good frontline presence now with the beam and the HP change. She still has flank presence. Yes, the 2-tap is gone, which is kind of sucky, but like you have so much more value and flexibility with that value. You need to be leveraging that, especially in situations when there isn't a Winston diving you off of cooldown. So let's take some notes here. What are some big things? What are some small things that need to be done better on your end?
I mean, I'd say like let's say it backwards. The small thing, I think, generally is just like every turret could have a little bit more thought put into it. Like if one's good and then one is just like thrown out so that it's not wasting the cooldown, like it could have some more thought could have went into that.
Agreed on that one. And the funny thing is that's a small thing, but it's one of those small things that amplifies more and more and more and more and more and more. But go ahead.
I think sometimes mentally I'm way more focused on my teammates and what play style they're playing and then how I'm fitting into that. Whereas like very objectively there, you're like, they don't have Winston, they don't have Tracer. You could be putting a lot more pressure from like an angle and not be as afraid of just getting forced out or getting like booped away from your TP is another big one. I guess that's the only thing that I was probably also thinking about with Pharah, because that can be really scary if you TP off somewhere, but yeah, generally like adjusting play style to enemy team comp instead of being probably so focused on what my team's doing.
100%. I think the reason why the enemy comp matters more is because there are fewer synergies that you can have with your teammates just by default, but you are dealing with everything the enemy team comp has is worth considering with you. Whereas right now, what's the only thing that you've really interacted with? I know not streaming right now, but you've interacted with your Rhine Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a little bit of range healing from your supports. But that's the only thing that's really been relevant to you, right? Whereas like the Winston's been a problem, Warrior's been a problem, Cat's been a problem. So, okay, so what else? Macro stuff, big picture stuff. You did give me one there, give me one more.
We're talking about Sim specifically, right?
Yes, Sim specifically, yeah.
I still need to probably be focused on when I'm actually going to get this new buffed beam value, because it felt impossible before to live and use beam. But when I can, and that didn't really apply to this map as much. But I've had a very like spammy, I think, play style. Particularly like sometimes she's strong because like you just know exactly where people are going to be, so the orbs are so easy to place. But if I start to try to transition into playing in a more brawl centric play style with beam, it can be easy to reach. Like I was going to talk about reaching to like. Sometimes it feels like, because there is times where you get like the dopamine reward of just like beaming down the whole team, like like you're a high energy Zarya. But there's a lot of times where like even with the buffs, there's times you'll get punished if you try to do that too much.
The thing is like even if you incorporate the more flanky style that we're talking about here, because beam charges up faster now, and because you have 25 more HP to play with, you should probably be opening with alt fire into beam. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like that's probably the best way if you can track to win.
I'll explore it.
Yeah. Okay. And then I want more creativity with angles, positions, especially versus more poke static heroes. Abuse your positioning, TP. Not just bait, not just TPing on backline. That's like one-dimensional. Open it up, Okay. Any questions?
Feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe I put in a bit more time, right, than we talked about with the minimalist approach perspective. But I'm gonna be a lot more deliberate. I'm trying to like really like cut back on a lot of things like YouTube content. There's only so many hours in a day, right? And you got to think about what type of reward you're getting out of it. So if I'm focusing in my time, trying to get a little bit more value out of it, and we'll see if maybe that'll actually still be a net positive, even with less. With less time, we'll see.
Okay, keep me updated with how it goes.